Alright, so we're going to talk about scientific notation today. So scientific notation is a way to write really large or really small numbers. And then standard notation is the normal way you would write numbers. So scientific notation, you're going to have a base, which is always the number in front of the times 10. And that base has to be greater than 1 and less than 10. So we couldn't have a 34 right here, or a 75. It has to be like a 5, or an 8.2. Then right here you're going to have an exponent, and that exponent tells you how many times to move your decimal in the problem. For standard notation, the big numbers are going to have positive exponents, and the small numbers are going to have negative exponents. So in standard notation, the big numbers like 5 million, or 18, or 463,000, they're going to have a positive exponent. And then the small decimal numbers, for example, that number would have a negative exponent, or that would have a negative exponent because they're very, very small. So I understand that you may not understand what's going on yet with scientific notation, but it's just going to take a little bit of practice and then you're going to be fine. So you might want to take a minute, rewind, and everything that I talked about, just kind of jot it down in your notebook, so when you come to class, you'll be ready to work. But I have 8 practice problems we're going to do, and hopefully that clears up any confusion you may have. So let's look at number 1. So I have 5,400,000, and I want to make this into scientific notation. So I need a number between 1 and 10 times 10 to an exponent. So I'm going to come find the first non-zero number over here, or basically go up here, and let's think about moving that decimal to the number right behind the 5. If I did that, it'd be 5 4/10. 5.4. So basically, 5 4/10 is between 1 and 10. That would work. Now our exponent is how many times do we have to move our decimal, which was originally right here, to get it between the 5 and the 4. Then you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's going to be a positive 6 because obviously 5,400,000 is a big number. Big numbers have positive exponents. So our answer would be 5 4/10 times 10 to the 6th. Sliding over to 7,342. It's the same thing. Some number times 10 to an exponent. Now 7,342, my decimal is right here. And I need to move it to make a number between 1 and 10. So I'm going to move it right here. So then I have 7 and 342 thousandths. And then I moved 1, 2, 3 times to get my decimal there. And so that's how I'd write 7,342 in scientific notation. Positive exponent because it's a really large number. Number 3, same thing here. Write it in scientific notation. A number times 10 to an exponent. Now this is a really small decimal number, but I'm still going to do the same thing. Look for a number where I can put my decimal, so it's between 1 and 10. So if I move it in between the 4 and the 7, I get 4 7/10. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now here's the thing, it has to be a negative 4 because this is a very small decimal number. 4 7/10 times 10 to the negative 4th power. Number 4 over here would be the same way. Some number times 10 to an exponent. We want to move our decimal right here between the 8 and the 1. So it'd be 8 and 1900th. And that's between 1 and 10. And so how many times did I move my decimal to get there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keep in mind it's going to be a negative 6 because it's a very small decimal number. Now, the other thing that you're going to be responsible for is going from scientific notation to standard notation, meaning going from scientific notation to normal numbers. So first you look at the exponent. My exponent is 5. That means I'm going to move my decimal 5 times. It's a positive 5, so you move it 5 times to make the number bigger. Start with your base, move the decimal 5 times to make 7 2/10 bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to rewrite my number which would be 720,000. Over here, same thing. Start with my base, I'm moving my exponent 3 times. It's a positive 3. So I'm moving my decimal 3 times to make it a larger number. 1, 2, 3. 6,543 and 2/10. Okay, now -8 means I'm going to move my decimal 8 times to make my number smaller. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's that really large number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be your answer. Then the next one, we're going to move our decimal 5 times, making the number smaller because it's a negative exponent. Start with your base. 5 times to make it smaller. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your answer. Always rewrite it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 6, 7, 7, 7. It's also very important. Some people think scientific notation, if there's a 5, you just add 5 zeros. Don't do that, because then you'll always get it wrong, and they always put that as an answer choice on a test or a quiz. The exponent is how many decimal places you move, not the number of zeros.